My name is Matt Grimes. I'm a senior lecturer in music industries and radio at Birmingham School of Media here at Birmingham City University. I've been lecturing now for 10 years. My particular area of interest in research is punk rock, and I specifically look at ageing people within punk rock. So these are people in their 40s and 50s that are either still punks or were punks, and I'm interested in how punk has impacted on their lives over 20 or 30 years.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Sharon. I'm a BCU fashion promotion student. Today I do some interview with Matt, and we were together talking about the HARAJUKU street style with the UK fashion style. So now, hello. Yeah, I'm doing a project about the HARAJUKU street style promote to the UK.
Okay.
Yes, and in my opinion, the street style in UK, the taste is more based on the European taste.
Okay.
And in the fashion history, the style of street formed in UK at first, and then because the World War II is born going to the Japan, and nowadays Japanese young people mix their culture with their country and into this street style to be a new street style.
So I'm very familiar that there is a particular park in Tokyo, is there, where a lot of the young people go and they're dressed up in various musical styles.
Yeah, that's the HARAJUKU.
Harajuku Park. So.
Oh, the HARAJUKU, the street style suggests most young people go to their area and sing and dance with punk and rock and roll and and different music style together, and they play the music, play the design. Maybe they are the fashion design or something like that. The artists and they together.
So do they? You say they come together. Do they have different areas of the park? Do they mix together, or do they have different areas of the park? The different styles.
They have different style, but they live together.
Okay, so they will mix together.
Yeah, and mix together.
Okay.
And their street style, and also this culture informs the Japanese street style.
Okay.
And of course, so I want to ask you some question about this. And so, are you familiar with the HARAJUKU area?
I am familiar with it. I've read a number of articles in some music magazines and some fashion magazines about the influence of Western popular music subcultures.
Do you know the flute?
I don't know if I do.
Okay. The Flute is the magazine from HARAJUKU.
Okay.
It's like the street photo. It's from younger people's the looking at the HARAJUKU street.
Okay.
And it's very popular, and I think they influence most young people in the world.
Okay. So are you familiar with the English magazine ID?
Oh yeah, I know.
So I learned about HARAJUKU through ID magazine, and that was maybe 20 years ago. They wrote an article about this relatively new phenomena in Japan, where Japanese youth were taking Western fashion styles as a way of challenging the traditional style of Japanese youth. It was about adopting a very Western look. And they talked there about the history of, certainly after the war, with a lot of American soldiers that were stationed in Japan, where a lot of the rock and roll influences in Southeast Asia from Korea influenced a lot of the Japanese youth styles and street styles.
Okay, I know that. And I want to ask, which style in HARAJUKU area you prefer and why?
Okay, so as I said, my particular area of research is punk. I mean, I don't have a preference. I think the whole scene, or the different scenes that are taking place in HARAJUKU Park, are really interesting. Because there's lots of questions there around identity.
Mm.
And it's interesting that Japanese young people are identifying more with Western style than they are with their own style.
Yeah.
However, I would also say that from HARAJUKU, there has now been a combination where the young Japanese there have started to develop their own unique style
Yeah.
based on a Western style. So it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just doing some things with that style and doing them slightly differently. But for me, my preference is probably around the punk style, because the style of punk has remained relatively constant since its inception in the 1970s.
Yeah.
So if we think of the spectacular, and punk style was very much based around the spectacular, you know, Mohican haircuts, bright coloured hair, studded jackets.
Yeah.
That's not so commonplace now in the UK, whereas in Japan at HARAJUKU Park, they base that style on a very old British punk style,
Okay.
rather than a more contemporary British punk style. So I think it's quite interesting that they are looking back
Yeah.
to a style that doesn't really hold much credence here in the UK now. So UK punk style has changed quite a lot over 20 or 30 years. It's mutated into lots of different sub-styles. Whereas in HARAJUKU, it's very much a traditional studded jackets, decorated jackets, Mohicans,
Yes.
brightly coloured hair,
Yeah.
which is more of an old style of British punk. But that's my preference. I think I like it because I can understand what they're trying to achieve there, because I was involved in the punk scene when I was 18, 19 years old myself.
Yeah.
You know, I had a red Mohican haircut, I had a studded jacket,
Okay.
you know, and then I got old.
No.
Older.
Yeah, no. Okay. So, if you could choose the one fashion style from HARAJUKU that you feel was in UK, you will choose punk or?
I would choose punk, but I think, as I said, I think all of these different styles have their own place within youth culture and youth fashion in Japan.
Yeah.
So another interesting development from HARAJUKU Park is the idea of they've adopted a number of American hip hop styles and fashions.
Yeah.
And then I think there was the lead singer from an American punk band, and I can't remember her name offhand at the moment, and she did a song about the HARAJUKU girls,
Yeah.
and she actually had them performing alongside Gwen Stefani, I think it was, who did a song about the HARAJUKU girls. So she was equally influenced by what the Japanese were doing. So they were taking Western style, making it their own, and she, as an American punk, was giving some sort of support to this idea of what the HARAJUKU style is by referencing the HARAJUKU girls in one of her own songs, and about that sort of interesting development. But I'm interested in all of the youth cultures that take place, not only in Japan but across the globe. But I think what's particularly interesting about the Japanese one, it's very much rooted in Western style and Western fashion. It seems to have moved away from its own traditional style and fashion. I don't know much about how Japanese youth would dress in the 1920s, 30s and 40s, but certainly since the inception of the 50s and 60s, their influences have been far more based on Western style than perhaps traditional Japanese style.
Okay. So, in the relation to above question, how do you think this style would need to abandon shoots in UK customers for the street style?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. I mean, is the HARAJUKU style?
Yeah.
Is suitable for nowadays for the UK young people?
I think there are some people in the UK, some young people in the UK that are very aware of what goes on across the world in terms of fashion.
Yeah.
I think if you're a good fashion student, or if you're somebody who's interested in fashion, you will be keeping an ear and an eye open to everything that's going on. I think there has been an influence in Japanese style of fashion now in the UK, And I think a lot of that's come around through what I would term a Japanese cartoon style.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Japanese anime,
Yeah.
and anime has now become quite a popular element to British fashion and style, certainly street style. So for example, I remember maybe 10 years ago when young English people they had their mobile phones with these little bits of string on them with the little cartoon characters, and then they'd be wearing cartoon character rucksacks, and then jackets with patches of these cartoon characters on there, you know, the sort of Pokemon type style, and you can see that still now in the UK. I think there is a market for that amongst the UK, and I think what's interesting is you've had Western style that's gone to Japan.
Yeah.
The Japanese have taken that and they've done something with it and changed it and done something different, and now it's come back here.
Yeah.
And now the young people here are doing something different with it again, and it may then go back to Japan and change again.
Yes.
So there's this constant flow between these different styles where people are adapting them, changing them, mutating them, doing something different with them to give them their own uniqueness.
Yeah, that's why I focus on this market, because I think maybe this different street style can mix together and introduce come to UK, and for more people to know about this street style.
Yeah, well, I think it's here. Excuse me. I think it's already here. I think the Japanese street style is having an influence on Western street fashion.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps one of the things that is not discussed enough. So I think it's here, but I don't think the fashion industry in the UK is talking about it enough. I don't think the magazines, the fashion magazines, the street magazines are maybe giving it enough attention.
So that's why I want to do this, because I want to know, I want to make brands like make some Japanese powerful street style brand together, and introduce come to UK, and also I because my style a few years ago I'm doing the fashion design too, and my style also be the Japanese street style. So maybe I will do some style with those brands, and I want to make this new style come to UK to make the people know there has their interesting lifestyle. You can choose this, you can know about this culture, and maybe it can make a new choice for people to choose their fashion style.
Okay. Well, one good way of doing that, there are a number of ways you could do that. One good way would be to maybe find a fashion photographer and a fashion journalist who would be able to give you some magazine space where you can talk about this and show some images of this new style that or this new brand that you're creating. And I think it would be fair to say that young people are very open to new ideas, but they're also quite fussy as well. But I think that they're quite keen to experiment. And I think if you brought something that was slightly different or somewhat different to what's already there, you know, you've obviously seen the other brands that are doing similar styles. You know, it's what's going to make yours different, what's going to make yours unique from the other styles that are already there. And like with any good fashion collection, you need the promotion, you need people talking about it, you need to get high profile people wearing it.
Yeah, so I think I know you like the punk style in UK and Japan, and I think maybe the punk music also can bring to link people, the different country people together to enjoy this fashion style. Also to change the UK street fashion, I think. So agree this, or can you give me some suggestion about how to doing this style be true?
Okay, so I think that the best people to ask are who are going to be your customers for your for your new style. So it's going to be young people, isn't it?
Yes.
In the UK.
Yeah.
I would suggest you go out and do some market research and ask, come up with some. I mean, do you have some designs about your new style that you want to create? Have you got some?
Yeah, I got.
Great. Take the designs out and ask people. Say, would you wear this? Would this interest you? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
So what do you think about nowadays the UK young people's the street style? I think in UK the people prefer to wear the color is like red, black, blue, green, just like this.
Okay.
The color is more dark, and I think maybe the Japanese street style something more shining.
Very bright.
Yeah, very bright
Yeah.
and very colorful.
Very colourful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure it's suitable for UK young people.
Yeah.
They will agree to wear this, or they will no, I don't like it.
Okay. Yeah, quite possibly. If you went to London,
Yeah.
you would probably find the younger people there are slightly more adventurous about some of the clothing they wear. But I think you'd find the same here in Birmingham. There's always going to be some that are really, really bold and really adventurous and like to try out new things and wear bold colours. And there's those that like to wear dark colours. I think a lot of people like to wear dark colours because it's an anti-fashion statement.
Yeah.
And also, it's easy to keep your clothes clean.
So,
If you're wearing yellows and whites and stuff, they get dirty quickly. It's
Yeah.
But there will always be those that like to push the boundaries of fashion, and if you showed them some bright, garish clothing, you'd be surprised. Some of them might go, that's exactly what I'd be looking for to wear. And I think nowadays, UK street style is really interesting because it's like a mashup of lots of different styles. So it's not unusual to see a young person wearing like maybe a punk t-shirt, some Adidas hip hop trainers, some tight sort of like cycling leggings. It's a real mix up of different styles, and I like that. When I was younger, you were one thing or the other. You were either a punk or a skinhead or into rockabilly or goth or new romantic. Everyone wore their allegiance on their bodies.
Yeah.
And if I was a punk, if I was seen walking around town by some skinheads,
Yeah.
the chances are I'd get beaten up for what I was wearing. Nowadays, in a very postmodern society, I think young people are far more experimental, and they like to borrow from lots of different fashion styles and mash them all up and mix them all up and try and get their unique look by taking lots of different elements. Unfortunately, by doing that, they've now become very much the same. It's become a bit homogenous. So although they're trying to be different, they're actually all looking very similar. Whereas maybe your job is to create something that is really quite... But again, if it then becomes very popular, everyone then looks the same.
Yes.
Because for you it's a creative process and you're an artist? Or do you create fashion because you want to make money?
The first one.
Because you're creative and you're an artist. Yeah. So, if you wanted to make money, you would try and sell as many as you could. Then it would become very popular, and then everyone would look the same. But if you're creating it because you want to create a unique niche market, or niche look, or niche product, then you would create a limited edition or limited edition collection. There's only 500 of these jackets, there's only 500 of these t-shirts, there's only 500 of these pairs of shoes. And once they're gone, they're gone. That then creates a unique niche fashion look because only 500 people in the world have got it.
Okay.
But it might get copied by someone like Primark, who do a cheap copy and then sell it to everybody. But that's the fashion industry all over.
Yeah. Fashion industry.
It's like that. You can create a unique collection.
You can control it.
But you can't control it.
Yeah.
And some of these couture collections, they go on display. 2 weeks later, somewhere in a factory in China, they're knocking out thousands of these.
But I think if the fashion industry, another brand want to copy your design, maybe it means your design is very successful. So
Could be. It could be. Yeah.
So that's why they will copy your design.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things with for you as a fashion designer, there's this whole issue around intellectual property. They're your designs. You created them. That's your intellectual manifestation on paper. But unless you can take these companies to court, they can make copies of them and just sell them. And what they will do is they make something of it slightly different, so it's not exactly the same.
So
It happens in the music industry. It happens in the booking. You know, it happens in all these industries. It's just one of the unfortunate things. It's a modern thing, copying. Well, it's not a modern thing. It's been going on for centuries. You know.
But I think this copy can make you think more new idea.
Well, this is the thing. If you made a limited edition collection,
Yeah.
you could sell that and move on to the next idea, and always stay one step ahead. But that requires a good creative process.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm not afraid about they copy my design because I think that means I'm successful.
Yeah, maybe it's one way of thinking. Yeah, that because they want to copy it, it's good. They like it. Or people like it. They want it. Therefore, it's successful. The question is, do you have enough creative ideas to then come up with something different next time, and then the time after, and the time after?
So I think maybe this copy can make me think more about what should go for the market for the people, and give me the new idea for the next. Yeah. So, and another question about the vintage, I think, because the vintage is the history is no longer in UK, and also the vintage is influenced the street style a long time. So, but nowadays I think UK young people is perfect to choose the vintage or perfect to choose the new clothes.
Well, I don't know is the short answer to that, because I think there's a mixture of both. There are some young people that like to wear vintage clothes, and will go for a vintage look, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s.
Because the vintage also is a powerful point for the Japanese style.
But then there's lots of young people in the UK that like to wear. There are groups of people that have a very similar style, but I think one of the things that young people try to do is to retain a sense of individuality and uniqueness. So although they may look similar to others, they actually are always striving to be different, because nobody wants to look like anybody else. They always want to have their own style.
Yeah.
You know. So and that's always been like that, and that will always continue.
So I think nowadays the young people, they have their idea and to be their own style.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting, and so that's why I want to introduce the Japanese style to you.
Yeah, I think you should. I think there's a really good opportunity there.
Okay, thank you.
Really good.